Do you feel like you're getting taken advantage of when you're networking? I'm Greg. I'm the introverted networker. And in this episode, I'm addressing some questions that I've gotten lately from a couple different people about feeling taken advantage of when they're networking. And so what happens here is people either say to me, I feel like I give and I give when I'm networking, but I'm not getting anything back, or people aren't helping me out. Or they'll say something like, how do you deal with it when people in your network reach out to you, but only when they want something? And I completely understand is part of the reason why people don't like networking. People don't like feeling taken advantage of and in this situation. So people are networking in a way that is very one-sided and makes the people who they're networking with feel like they're being taken advantage of. And then what happens is those people who feel like they've been taken advantage of stop networking because they don't want to do the same thing to anybody else. So it really causes people to be hesitant about networking because of their experiences with it. And again, this is what sort of gives networking a bad name. And it's a little bit frustrating because networking can be so powerful. It can be something that really changes your career, changes your life if it's done well. And unfortunately, the reason why most of us don't want to network is because we've been on the other side of bad networking. So it stops us from doing it. And I talk about this on these videos or the podcast or the Introvert Networker newsletter, or in my book, The Fast and Easy Guide to Networking for Introverts, or in any of my LinkedIn posts that I put out every week. I always talk about how to network in a way that's mutually beneficial, makes other people feel good, makes you feel good. It's not awkward. It's something you want to do, because if it's something you want to do and the awkwardness is gone, you're going to do it more. You're going to see benefits. But how do you deal with these situations? And so I'm going to kind of break these down. There's a couple of things I've heard recently from people. So the first one is, how do I handle it when I feel like I give to other people in networking and they don't give back? And I can understand that sometimes this feels this way. I believe that when we give to people, other people naturally want to reciprocate. And that's just human psychology, right? I mean, whether you read, about ancient humans or how we've evolved, we start out in groups, but one of the things that most societies or groups of people are all around the world throughout history, anthropologists or people who study this have found that one of the things that all societies have in common is this concept of returning favors. If you look at any sort of group that lives together, returning favors is a key thing they all do. It's naturally wired into us. And part of that is because that's how we survived as humans in groups, right? So we're social animals. We live in groups. The reason those groups were successful is because people helped each other out. So we are naturally wired for reciprocity. And I've talked about this before. I quote this all the time when I do presentations or workshops. Dr. Robert Cialdini, in his book Influence, talked about the power of reciprocity, or the principle of reciprocity, and talked about how it's just something we all want to do. So I think that when you go into networking and you feel like you're giving and people aren't reciprocating, what I would challenge you to think of or change your mindset of is, are you clear with how that person can help you? So the person you've helped, are you clear about what they could do to return that favor? Or do you say something like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, don't worry about it. It was my pleasure. Those all seem kind, and they are kind, and you should not say those things. At the same time, nobody's going to help you if they don't know how they can help you. And what you can do is, again, principle number 4 in my 5 steps to creating your networking approach is be easy to help. So what is one thing the person that you help could do to reciprocate? Is it introduce you to somebody they know? Is it share a piece of content you have? Is it send people your way Is it have them tell other people they know about you? So like in my whole practice, with my newsletter, and when I get on there and I'm helping somebody out, so they're like, hey, what can I do to help you? I say, share my newsletter with one person. Or if you talk to somebody and they say they're struggling networking, be sure to refer them to me, send them my way. I'm trying to get people to read my newsletter, to subscribe to my newsletter, to subscribe to this channel, to continue to follow me, because I'm trying to get this information out to as many people as possible. So I try to make it really simple. That's an easy thing somebody could do. Now, a lot of the time when I'm giving people help, I'm doing it because that makes me feel good too. I get personal satisfaction from helping other people. And so that to me is a gift when I know they've been helped. Now, the other thing I will sometimes say is if I give you advice, if I try to help you with your networking, I would like to see you go try it and do it and tell me how it went. That's how you can help me. So these are really small things, but I get really direct and detailed and articulate and explicit on what somebody can do to pay me back for whatever it is I've done to help them. And I think that's one thing where people get frustrated, is because they expect other people to just be, oh, well, what can I do for you? How can I, help you? And they might say that, they might not, but you shouldn't feel badly about saying to them, hey, here's what would really help me. Here's what you can do for me, since, I've kind of helped you out. It would be great if you could do this. If you can do that, you're probably going to get more help. Maybe not, but at least you're out there and you're saying like, hey, here's what you can do to help me. So I think if you feel like people aren't giving back to you after you've given to them, ask yourself if you've been clear enough with how they can help you. And if you aren't clear, figure out what is that smallest thing people could do to help you. So that's the first scenario that I want to talk about. The second scenario is one where I had a friend of mine from a place I worked a long time ago. So very dormant tie. We touch base maybe every once a year or less, and usually through LinkedIn. I know he reads my newsletter and my posts because he's told me he does. And he says, he loves to network. He loves to help people. He loves to stay in touch with people, but he feels like they only reach out when they need something. And so it's this feeling of like very transactional. There's not very much of a relationship there. And he always wants to help. But again, he's like, how do I deal with that? It just feels like they only want something. And again, this is poor networking on their part, because they aren't keeping the relationship going. They aren't staying in touch when they don't need things. They aren't trying to help him in advance. So very much can understand how that feels, because I've had this happen to me in the last week, and this happens to me almost every week. Somebody will send me a message, mostly through LinkedIn. It's like, hey, just so you know, I'm looking for a job, would love any help or any, if you know of anything, please, let me know. I would teach anybody, don't ever approach somebody like that, because what you're basically asking them to do is go out and help you find a job. And maybe you don't mean that. Maybe you're like, hey, just keep your ears open. And if you hear of anything, send it my way. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know what kind of jobs you're looking for. I don't know what companies you want to work for. I don't know what you're looking to do. And if you don't tell me that, it makes it very hard for me to help you. So again, you're not being easy to help. So what I do, and this is what I wrote back to my friend, which, by the way, I said, thank you for giving me the topic this week, because him reaching out was sort of a thing that said, oh, that's what I can talk about this week. So I was very appreciative that something he gave me was the topic. I would say a couple things. I guess what I would say is, if somebody reaches out to you and they just, you feel like they only reach out when they need something, your options are this. Number one, you can help them with whatever they asked you to help them with. But that leaves you feeling a bit resentful and bitter towards them and towards the whole of networking, because they're only asking you when they need something. So if you do all the stuff they ask, or you go bend over backwards to help them, you might feel a little resentful about that. So, but that's an option. You can do that. Option two is don't do anything. You can either ignore them, or you can respond to them and say, you know what, I haven't really talked to you in a while. You're just showing up, and I'm not really inclined to help you until maybe we talk a little and I get to know what's going on and maybe we reestablish the connection. I would guess most people are not going to do that, right? Because that's an uncomfortable conversation and it doesn't really help the situation. Then you just sound like I'm not helping you because of the way you're networking. Again, that gives you a bad feeling about networking. It gives them a bad feeling about networking. They're just going to come back and say, like, I reached out to help people and they wouldn't help me. So that's not really helping the world change the way it feels about networking. The third thing is you can have sort of that minimum viable help, I guess I would call here MVH, or minimum viable favor, MVH, which is maybe something new I can talk about in the future. But oftentimes what I do in the situation when somebody pings me and says, hey, I'm looking for a job, I'm going to make them do some work to show me if they really want my help or not. And what I mean by that is, you know, what I've said over and over, that I want to see your target company list, especially if you're looking for a job. What's the list of companies that you are interested in that I can look at and see if I know anybody I can connect you with? Almost nobody already has this when they talk to me because they don't read the newsletter, right? But you read my newsletter, go back in the archives, find issue 6, talks about the target company list and how to create one. And if somebody reaches out to me and says like, hey, I'm looking for a new role, would love to get any ideas or suggestions you have, I send them issue 6 of my newsletter and I say, here's how to create a target company list. When you have it done, send it to me and I'll look at it and see if I know anybody. That's a really easy response for me because I have, number one, I have that issue, right? I have that link to that. I just go get a link to it. I send it to them in the message, and I'm basically putting it back on them to say, show me that you're willing to put in the effort to use my help in the most constructive way. That's the easiest way for me to help you. 9 out of 10 people never send me a target company list. I mean, I say this, I give people this advice all the time. 9 out of 10 people, I would say, don't send me a target company list. Some do. And when I look at it, I try to think of, do I know anybody? And if I know somebody, I try to make an introduction. And if I don't know somebody, I say, like, have you thought of this company? And if I don't even have any ideas there, I'm like, you know what? I appreciate this. I have it now as I kind of go through life. If I hear of somebody and I remember they're on your target list, I'll be sure to connect you with them. There's no guarantee, right? But at least I'm giving it a look. I'm trying to help them out. So that's what I would say. If you have people that reach out to you and you feel like you haven't heard from them in a long time, you can still help them without putting the burden on yourself and feeling taken advantage of. If you have that sort of standard minimum viable favor that you can give to them. For me, it's telling people to create a target list and send it to me and I'll look at it. Because I know 90% of them aren't going to do it, but I gave them advice. I mean, to me, the target company list is the best advice on job searching I've ever gotten. When I did that, it clarified what I was searching for, who I was looking for, how I would figure out what jobs I applied to, how I would figure out who I would network with and connect with. And it was something I could give to other people to enable them to do the same thing for me. That is at the top of my job search best advice ever received. And I'm give it out to people all the time. I'm giving you the best advice I ever got. In my mind, I have helped you. I have satisfied the helping you in the minimum viable favor way by giving you that advice. Now, if you go through the process and don't create the list, okay, I can't help that. That's you not taking action. If you do and you send it to me and I can connect you, even better. If I can't connect you, at least you've now got this list that's helpful and is going to help you in more ways than you even know. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I would love to have the minimum viable favor, I mean, go get the link to issue 6 of my newsletter and just keep it somewhere. And when somebody reaches out, just like, hey, I'm looking for a job, I would love any advice you have, just send them that. Go, hey, I listened to this guy, or I watch this YouTube channel, or I listen to this podcast, or I read this newsletter, and he talks about the target company list. Here's a link to it. You should go check it out. It'll really probably help your search. And if you get a company list, then send it to me. I'll take a look at it. you've helped, right? And also it's so easy, it's so quick, it's so straightforward that you don't really have to think about doing more. And I think if you do that, you'll probably feel less like people are just hitting you up when they need favors. I mean, they are. They are. Let's be honest. They are. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't control when people hit you up for favors. You can't control that. There's nothing you can do, right? And you could try to tell people, and I can try to tell the world, don't do that. Establish the connection, have the conversations first. But inevitably, somebody's going to do it. You can't control that, but you can control how you react. And so react in a way that makes you feel as good as possible about it while still helping people. And that's really what I would say on that one. That's the best way I can think of to deal with this in a way that doesn't make you bitter about networking. And who knows, if they send you a target company list and it's got a company on it and you know somebody over there and you're like, hey, sure. Now you got to decide, do I know this person well enough to introduce them to that person? And if the answer is yes, I just haven't heard from them, then go for it. If the answer is no, maybe say to them, like, I've got some people over here, but I haven't really heard from you in a while. I'd love to jump on a call for 15 minutes and just kind of catch up and find out what you've been doing. So I know that you're going to be somebody that I can introduce to this person I know and respect, and it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship. So there's just a couple ways to approach that. Hopefully that makes it a little bit simpler in terms of how to deal with people who maybe just kind of show up out of the blue when they need things, or people who you feel like you're giving to and they're not giving back. As I said, it's all about controlling the things. You can't do anything to control it. You can only control how you react to it. So give that a shot. The next time somebody reaches out to you and it's been a long time, or when you feel like people aren't giving back, think about those different ways to think about it and approach it. And hopefully you'll feel better about networking, because that's what I'm here to do, is change the way the world feels about networking. I believe it's a powerful thing. I believe our society, our culture, the world today is making us worse at it through technology and online stuff, and we need to get back to being humans and thinking like what our prehistoric ancestors used to do when they were living together in societies. We need to get back to more of that than we are going towards more technology. So hopefully that helps. If it does, let me know. If it's still struggling, please get in touch with me, leave a comment, and I would love to hear from you. So go give it a shot this week. Let me know how it goes. Remember, always be connecting.